Hey everyone, welcome to the newest video for the newest update of the platform, the NeQter Labs platform that we have. So to start off this call, this is the second call that we've had like this, second webinar that we've had like this. So a couple things of note: expect these calls during or rather after our quarterly update, so 2-3 weeks after our update. So our most previous one was at the top of October. That we had version 2.7.1, and then we had a minor update 2.7.2, and we should see those 2.8 and 2.9 at quarterly intervals. I also wanted to take the opportunity to introduce Nick Furta. Some of you, I'm sure, have met him. He is our compliance success manager, and Nick's job is going to be really he's going to be the switchboard for the company. So anytime, especially obviously after onboarding new customers in the fulfillment stage, but then also ongoing, Nick is going to make sure that you're successful with the tool, that you're getting the support that you need, or if there's any questions that need to be directed to sales or the development team or accounts or wherever, Nick is going to be the source for that, and his email is nfirda, F-I-R-D-A, at nectarlabs.com. So Nick is also going to be reading out any questions that anyone has as we go through the short demo today. We are going to be going over version 2.7, which had majorly, it was an update to the vulnerability scanner. So any questions that are relevant during the call, we will, Nick will stop and he will read it out, and I'll answer to the best of my ability. And then towards the end of the call, if there's any wider ranging questions like where development is going, or what we see coming out from NeQter in the next coming month, we'll definitely address those as well. So let me take a second here to share my screen, and designate the right screen, of course. There we go. So Nick, just want to confirm I got my demo screen up.
Yes, you do, Pat.
All right, awesome. So yeah, so as we can see, 2.7.2 is the most recent update, and of course, if there's any questions on updates, they usually pop up. We'll give you notification. We also shoot out an email blast letting everyone know. But if all else fails, you can go into settings, go to updates, and it'll let you know if there's an update available. It'll also have the change log for the most current update, what was changed and what was updated. So in terms of the vulnerability scanner, I'll just click in there. In terms of the vulnerability scanner, we had a complete rehaul of it, and as I'm sure a lot of you know, we leverage OpenVAS, and we actually went two major versions. We went from OpenVAS 9 to OpenVAS version 11, and there was a lot of things that we had to do to cross that bridge in between the two. We wanted to make sure that all scans and profiles um, and results all got carried over. So it has a little bit of a different look, a little bit of a different feel, but overall the same functionality. There were some errors with the having version 9, which unfortunately there were some level 10 or higher level severities that were associated with the local tool, and that is due to just having the feeds get up to date, making sure that the scanner itself was up to date. So all of that was remediated by moving to the newest version. So if some of you are still experiencing where it's might be throwing some errors or throwing some higher severity, level on your reports with the local attribution, I would take a look, make sure you're updated to the newest version. That's all covered. In terms of changes to the underlying scanner, it's the same functionality. It is pulling in those feeds from the National Vulnerability Database, the CVEs, overhaul, so all in the security info area. And if we travel there and we take a look to see these created NVTs, we can see, and this is updating every day. So last time it updated was yesterday, October 26th for my scanner. A major change that we did apply as well was we're no longer leveraging the default feeds that the scanner had prior. As some of you observed, those feeds were, from a geolocation standpoint, were located in Germany. Now what we have done is we're leveraging the same feeds and the same uh, and getting the same signatures. However, we have shifted that to a NeQter managed local IP. So it's domestic. It's as you know, we're in Rhode Island. It's actually feeds.nectarlabs.com. And a couple things that we improved with that as well was by leveraging OpenVAS. OpenVAS is an open source project maintained by Greenbone. They do have their own enterprise and their own different scanners that they have. And unfortunately, on the free and open source feeds, they throttle them, they slow them down. So by moving and shifting those feeds to NeQter, there's no longer any delay on those feeds that they were performing. The other major thing that we addressed, there was an issue that we had prior, and we've addressed it in this update as well, was being able to perform authenticated scans on Windows. That's all. There's no issues there. You're fully able to go into the scanner, and whether it be by starting up and making a new task or using the task wizard. As you can see over here, there is SSH credential, SMB credential, and ESXi credential. SMB you'll be able to load up and it will scan against Windows operating systems and of course the underlying software, looking for any vulnerabilities on software and OS level type vulnerabilities. So you can load up those different credential scans here. You can configure in the configuration area under credentials. You can load up different credentials for different assets, whether it be Windows based or Linux, or even if you wanted to load up credentials for SSH, so you can scan switches and routers and different things like that. So you can load those up here or type them in, whether it be username, password, SSH key, SNMP, password only. You can load those up here and then you can configure them in the scan as well. One thing I did want to mention is how you are able to receive emailed alerts from the scanner for different reasons, whether it be, of course, if there was a scan that ran and it didn't complete or failed to run or had an error. But most importantly, you're able to set up a alert if you want to receive a summary of the scan that completed. So you can establish the alert profile here and you can have it always send. You can also set up some parameters where maybe a certain level of severity or whether it be the severity level has changed, whether it has increased or not, things like that. And one of the things is this does not currently sync up to the local settings where you establish the mail relay server. So you will have to, these email settings will be separate from that. So you'll have to put the from address. You can put email encryption in here or allow an insecure connection to send the email, but it's going to be utilizing the from address that you establish in here. Then you can designate to attach the PDF report. That's also an improvement. Unfortunately, the last version of the scanner didn't allow for a PDF export. That's all fixed with this newer update. So you can schedule, or rather send, a email with the summary report PDF from the tool. It will include the name, it will include the status, and you'll be able to send that to your email. And one other thing I wanted to address as well is you are able to kind of do a shorthand schedule when you're creating one of those quick tasks. But if you want a more robust schedule, come in here and establish the schedule. And the schedule can be whatever recurrence you desire, whether it be one time, hourly, daily, weekly, monthly. You can do custom. You can have it during the work week. So very specific, very customizable in this area of the platform. The only other thing that I wanted to touch upon with the vulnerability scanner was that we've actually added in a dashboard for the vulnerability scanner in the other area of the tool, so that you'll be able to see a summarization of vulnerabilities that occurred over time. You'll be able to see, so if I do, I've only done this a couple times, so I only have some data in here for vulnerabilities. But the nice thing about this is now there is a better correlation between vulnerabilities identified and then being able to filter down based upon host, leveraging the Kibana front end, being able to search over time and understand vulnerability severities over time, what vulnerabilities were identified. But then, of course, because it is in the Elastic common schema that we're leveraging with the Elastic side of the tool, if you wanted to select and filter down a certain host address and then pin that filter and go across and see, okay, this IP had these vulnerabilities. Let's see what type of activity, just carrying over this IP address to, say, the Active Directory dashboard or file auditing dashboard, just to see maybe common events across different data sources that are getting pulled into the tool. So I know that's a very just a quick rundown of that was really the major update 2.7 with the vulnerability scanner. So I'll leave it to see if we have any questions and kind of just go from there. So Nick, how we looking on questions?
I've got a couple of questions coming in. Bear with me for a second. I'm having a minor issue with being able to see multiple at one time.
Yeah, I get that too. You just gotta grab it and expand the. Okay, I see. Treat, I know that's you, so you can stop with those requests. Um, so let me just check out that first question from Jeff. So Jeff is just talking about uh, how we have experienced many false positives in the past, especially when scanning CentOS. Um, haven't been able to currently address this. Is there a way that we can post this on OpenVOS or other community site and report? So maybe basically, Jeff, it sounds like unfortunately there's some false positives with CentOS. It seems like it is coming from the signatures themselves ringing a false positive rather than the CentOS actually having a false positive. So I'm sure that you know this to date. However, this is probably annoying since it sounds like there may be many. But of course, what you can do is with any results that you have, if it is throwing a false positive, you are able to take that result and you are able to apply you are able to put an override for the results. So you can do that on the scans after they run. We just click in here and go to the vulnerability. So let's see. So we're able to go up to the top over here. This did, some of the icons did change, so I apologize if that's making it a little more complicated. But you are able to designate an override, whether it be a permanent override, whether it be for a certain duration, whether it be for certain types of hosts. You can designate the overrides to be either for a certain IP or even operating system. And all of these overrides will get tracked in the override area so that you're not sweeping anything under the rug, but things have a rhyme and a reason to everything. Let's view the next question here from Nick. Are you better on
Uh,
viewing the questions?
yeah, I'm good
Okay.
here.
All right, what's the
I
next
do
question?
I do have one question, an older one from Jonathan Shmura. He has version 2.7.1 installed, but in his feed status, he's getting a message saying that it is too old, and he's
Hmm.
having a difficult time finding the automatic sync system, which it's asking him to check. Um, I don't know if you
Hmm.
could go into that section for him.
Yeah, so if you're on 2.7.1, we did have the release of 2.7.1, and then within a week or a few days or so, we did have 2.7.2 come out. I think we had to tweak something with the feeds. So I would check that. You are able to, in the vulnerability scanner, if you go to administration and feed status, you are able to yeah, so it's saying the same thing for me. I'll check to see if that's a bug because going to the feeds myself, they are current within the day. So I will look to ask. So because we did shift the feeds, it may be an issue of well, first off, I'll check to see if it is an issue. I don't believe it is. Um, but it might be because we changed the feeds from the defaults. So it might not be thinking it is getting the feeds, and maybe it's just not visualizing in the front end. Because I have checked, and as you can see here, these feeds that I am pulling in came from yesterday, but it did have that same error thrown for me right there. So I'll check for that for you, Jonathan.
I've also got a question from David Trethway. He's asking if you can run a scan on an entire subnet, or do you have
Mhm.
to enter in IP addresses for all devices?
So in terms of doing uh, a setting up a scan using a task, so you can by default. So if I go to the advanced task wizard, you can put the CIDR notation of the subnet. So you don't have to, but you can do a couple things. You can, so for this one, I have 10.242.2. If I do .0, I can put dash to whatever address I desire. I can also put the network and put the CIDR notation for the subnet. You can get much more specific in the configuration and targets area so that if I make a new target list, you can choose to do the same thing, put the ranges, and then exclude certain hosts. If you have it from a file, you can upload it as well. So no, you are not limited to having to put in each one manually. You can do ranges and you can do subnets.
All right. I've got another good-looking question from Jeff Legal.
Mhm.
Is there any way to tune our scans and pick some kind of a trade-off between speed and local resource utilization?
So when it comes to the scans, you are able to designate the depth and the complexity of the scan. There are a lot of defaults. So if I do advanced task wizard. And I have a couple others that I was, testing out on my own. So it has a couple clones here, but by default, it's going to be full and fast. And the more, let's just say, the more descriptive it goes, full and fast, ultimate, very deep, ultimate. Those obviously will take longer and will scrub more. However, if there is a trade-off where, because it's looking at those full port lists, and if we go into configuration and we go into the scan configs, you can designate. So obviously on the default ones, you can't change those. You can clone them and then you can adjust them. So this first full and fast clone one, you can go in here and you can designate which security checks are being performed. One of the things that I have recommended is sometimes there is a crosstalk between the vulnerability scanner and the alerts that we have, right? So if you're doing a brute force password dictionary attack on authentications, that's going to trip the failed login attempts on the in our alerts area. So you can either on the log side tune those out from the NeQter tool, or you can go in on the vulnerability scanner side and check off the brute force attacks so it's not performing that. And then you can come in here and get even more specific. So if that answers your question, Jeff, you can get a lot more attuned to whatever ports that you're doing or whatever each scan is checking. If you want to dial that back and make it a lighter, more direct and ultimately faster and less resource intensive scan.
All right, I got another one coming in from David Zambrano.
Mhm.
Uh, he has some hosts that do not respond to ICMP. Is
Mhm.
there a specific setting that he needs to use so the scan will start without checking ICMP?
Um, so that really comes down on the discovery scan. By default, it's going to check to see, hey, is this, ICMP, is this active? So if you put the host in there, the IP in there, and have it scan, just because it's not showing up on the discovery ICMP scan doesn't mean it won't show up in a subsequent scan looking for those deeper things. So I believe the answer is you can, and much like I'm showing now, you can go directly into the scan and designate what it does and doesn't check for. So I'm actually unfamiliar. Maybe I'll look at that. I'll have to get back to you on that one, uh, David, specifically. Jeff, I wanted to follow up. How many IPs are scanned at one time? Again, yes, you can designate how many. Some users, sounds like Jeff wouldn't be a good example. Rather, David wouldn't be a good example, but if you do a discovery scan or a host discovery scan first, and then determine, okay, what is live, what is present, and then you can pare down the target lists, and that's in the configuration targets area where you can hone down. For example, this sample is 100 IPs, 0 to 100. I can go in here and get much more specific. I can put 0 to 20 and then comma, and then I can put uh, another range as well. So again, you can get as specific as you need to when it comes to these scans. Um, let's see, I do want to address, so David Trethaway, so the release notes for 2.7.2 need to get uploaded for docs.nectar.labs, but it is within your tool directly in the settings and update areas. Um, thanks, Treat, for the. So in terms of there is a way to turn off ICMP alive test settings. Um, and how many in the list are scanned simultaneously? Jeff, it's one at a time, or um, in terms of you can run concurrent scans. However, of course, that's going to take double the resources. So it is advised to do one scan at a time, so as to best use um, those resources. I just want to make sure that we did get um, all the questions here.
I
Go through
think
this one.
I think the only one you're missing right now, Patrick, is another from David Trethway,
Okay.
um, uh, asking about whether or not he can use FQDN because it
hmm
didn't seem to work. So he was wondering if the scans have to be IPs.
In terms of, I don't on that side, I don't believe so. I believe you can use FDU. You can use that when you designate the host lists with the same listing it and then putting a comma and listing the hosts, or you can upload a file of those hosts. If there is something, again, if there is something specific where it's not working as intended, or maybe need some better clarification on how to configure or set something up, Nick and of course our support is the best avenue to get that answer. One thing I do want to illustrate, because we've been talking about it with obviously people who reach out and anyone who has questions, a couple things, good places to get information about NeQter, about the tool, is of course we do have our documentation live, and we have for a while, but we have combed through it and redone everything. Docs.nectar.labs, docs.nectarlabs.com is the address in which to reach that. We can send out an email. It would be good to maybe send that in the chat, Nick.
Yep.
So docs.nectarlabs.com. So initial setup guide, and then also the user's manual. We have had our newest member to the team, Chris, on support, has been going through and adding nice, pictures and visual aids and updated visual aids to the documentation. The change log is up here as noted. 271 is the newest one. We need to throw up 272. And then there is also we have a NeQter Labs YouTube, of which this video will get uploaded to. We have just a handful of videos right now, including a version 2.6 demo, the last NeQter Labs feature spotlight that we did on the new policy builder, and as well as we were co-hosting. BDO had a series of defending the DIB, which were succession week by week of webinars about different topics covering CMMC and compliance. I will be joining the one on this Friday. It's actually about 12 to 5, where there's a Richard Wakeman from Microsoft is going to be there. A lot of major players in either the CMMC solution space, or Wayne Boline from Raytheon, who's a compliance officer of Raytheon, will be there. He is on the board of the CMMC accreditation body. So any questions on that, there are posts on LinkedIn. Can send out an email blast if anyone wants to sign up for that webinar. However, if you do miss it, it will be uploaded onto our YouTube here. So we have 17 current subscribers. It's a little lonely, and we will be posting periodically, at least once a month. We will be also, our support team is going to be walking through the docs.nectarlabs.com, and we'll be uploading video aids to go through the entirety of the installation process. So yeah, I think that's everything I have to get everyone in the know about. Hopefully this was useful. Of course, any questions if we missed anything, or if you like to send an email, shoot over an email afterward with a specific question or how to do something. We're all ears. Again, nferta@nectarlabs.com. Obviously, support at nectarlabs.com is how you reach our support team. And yeah, so David, if you need to have a full setup, if we just need to kind of start from scratch, we can absolutely schedule a full installation and walk you through everything and get things configured in the way that you need to. A general question: what path does NeQter plan on taking when CMMC becomes a new standard? Will you be working to become an auditing team? So Jonathan, we personally, NeQter Labs, will not be looking to become an auditing team due to the fact that to become a third-party C3PAO for CMMC, you can perform auditing, but then you cannot provide any services or solutions after the fact. So what we will be doing is we are steadfast remaining focused on providing our software and building it out and getting feedback. We are partnering with and have partnered with a couple of the provisional assessors and other members who are looking to become assessors for CMMC, whether it be in an official accreditation capacity or a consulting services capacity. We have partners in, of course, the Northeast, but we do have partners across the U.S. who work with small business and are like-minded that we can absolutely refer to, and we trust that we'll be able to perform those services. In terms of the scope of the product, the next update, we will have a January update, of course, Q1. That's the iterants that we're looking at having our updates come out. We will be having the week of November 16th, we will be having an update to the compliance builder portion of the platform. We will be having a document upload, attachment, and versioning. So any supporting artifacts, documentation, policies, procedures that you need to upload as proof points or examples for the system security plan area of the tool. We will have that coming out in November, week of November 16th. And then our next update at the top of the year, January, we are looking to have a more robust reporting features. We are also redressing our alerting area. David, yes, that is Nick's email, just to confirm that for you. And yeah, so if that answers everyone's questions, hopefully this was useful. Any feedback, good or bad, if I was awful, if I need to take down this New England Patriots, I was thinking about doing that, especially this past weekend. But any comments, any feedback, please reach out to myself directly, Nick, or our support team, and we'll get you the help that you need. So I think that concludes this this webinar, this broadcast. Nick, that you have anything before we end off?
No, I got nothing. Just want to say thank you to everybody that joined in and for everyone that sent in some questions for us. Like Pat said, hopefully this provided any clarification that you guys needed. And we look forward to continuing working with you guys and improving the software, making sure everything's as good as it can possibly be for you guys. And hopefully we see y'all on the next feature spotlight as well.
Awesome. So this was recorded. It will be uploaded on our YouTube by I'll look to do it today. If not, if the slides from today by end of the week, but it will be up there. So
Also, to answer David really quickly, I think we were punished enough by San Francisco over this weekend without making Pat take his banner down.
I know that's true. So it's okay. We can't win all the time, right? So all right, thank you everyone, and yeah, hope to see you on the next one, and yeah, that's it for me. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're good.
Oh.
All right.